you're getting sleepy, very sleepy, sleepy in nature. Ah, gosh, I'm only kidding you. Seriously? No, we're not doing that. Although we could, but not for now. Instead, I'm looking at calmness in your leadership. So let's look at then how to be a calm leader. Because being calm, believe it or not, is a superpower of leadership. But not many leaders truly have it when global panic sets in. What am I talking about? Well, let's take, for example, COVID-19. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, many people panicked, but I stayed calm. And television screens were filled with hundreds of people rushing through shopping malls and shopping centres to stock up on essentials. And we all remember the toilet paper thing. Well, I was avoiding that. Because back then, despite all of the information that was beamed into people's phones, online and on televisions and computers, there was a lack of factual knowledge as to what this COVID-19 virus was and what it would actually do to people. Now, although it was clear from the beginning that it was transferred from person to person through the respiratory tract, through breathing, vast amounts of people rushed to shops and stores and began just bulk buying toiletries. Of course, these products, they were useless. It didn't make sense for people, but their panic was told and telling differently. And that's why when you begin to lead, you must be calm and sure of why this is. It's a lot like being calm in a storm. So let's look at that. When the pressure comes on as a leader, that's exactly when you're truly tested to the very last. And when you have people under your guidance, well, then you may feel that you're responsible, and I mean really responsible, for their well-being as well. And this adds to the pressure. But if the leader can stick to simple rules, then for sure they'll be able to succeed and guide people to a better place. In understanding the facts, the very truthful facts of what is happening during that pressurized time, it's so important because most people will get confused, even leaders. Let's look at pandemic now. So going back to early March 2020, when COVID-19, this pandemic, was unfolding and it was taking hold of the Western world, I made the decision to attract people indoors, to try at least to do this, so that they could concentrate on something other than the panic. And so I formed this online group for people who are isolated from the pandemic, or to hit people's fears with the isolation. Back then, people just heard the word lockdown and decided that they needed to bring everything they could to get their hands on and store them at home. It was just crazy. Whereas I thought about it differently, and I created an online group that would provide positive support and, essentially factual information on the pandemic as it was unfolding. I knew it would help people too. See, the idea was that when people joined the group, they would learn calmly from the facts that were being discussed in the group. And it worked. It really and truly worked. In fact, it worked better than I ever thought it would. International leadership mistakes. Let's look at it larger now. Hundreds of people joined my group within hours. And they were doing so because there was pure fear and panic of the unknown. Yet some of the world's greatest leaders who are still in denial at the exact same time frame. They were in denial that there was a deadly virus and that it was going to cause havoc all around the world. And on February 24th, 2020, the US President Donald Trump actually played down the virus's effect on his nation when he said, quote unquote, "The coronavirus, as it was known at the time, is very much under control in the USA. We are in contact with everyone and all relevant countries." Yeah, fair enough. But as it was proven that neither Trump nor America did have the situation under full control, as throughout the next year or so, there were nearly 500,000 deaths from the virus. And even Trump himself was reported to have had the whole virus, and he was sick in hospital. Similarly, in the United Kingdom, the Prime Minister at the time, Boris Johnson, was hesitant as well in accepting how serious the virus was from the very off. And around the same time, on March 19th, 2020, he said the following, quote unquote, "I think, looking at it all, that we can turn the tide within the next 12 weeks. And I'm absolutely confident," he said, "that we can send coronavirus packing in this country." Interesting from Johnson. But Johnson too was wrong. For example, 10 months later, the virus was still ripping through the land, and over 30,000 people were being infected daily. Even the Prime Minister of the UK, he himself got the disease, just like Trump, and was touch and go as to whether he would survive or not. And yet, all of this could have gone differently if these leaders, for example, had accepted the medical facts of the situation at the very beginning, and then from that made calm decisions based upon that mentality. See what I'm saying? So calmness in the storm again. Going back to me, as I continued to manage my online group, people became assured by the leadership that if they followed basic precautions, then the virus would not harm them, or indeed their family, their friends, or their neighbours. Now I, along with the help of other great moderators in the group, continued to repeat the best researched and most credible and factual updates on the virus. And I did so because people needed this, and people were being assured of knowing what was happening in real time. However, there was a lot of noise online and false claims that the virus was not real. And there was even conspiracy theorists, and they were convincing millions upon millions of people that it was all the virus. The whole thing was some type of hoax. The panic that existed was showing up in my overflowing inbox, and honestly, it took me months to reply to all of the messages from the initial few weeks of the first lockdown. That's in March, April, May and so on. But all I did was continue to be calm in the storm of panic, and to continue to reiterate the medical facts as they unfolded day to day. So you need to create this culture of calmness. It's really important. So if a leader is calm, that means their decision making will form a calm place too. However, it's important to build a culture of calmness also. You have to be aware of this. When a leader keeps their head, when all are losing their mind, well, that's when others will seek that person out for guidance. And in turn, if a calm leader builds a culture of calmness, then you have more leaders that can then provide better guidance to an even greater amount of people, especially when it's needed, especially when the pressure comes on. And that's why calmness is a true superpower of leadership. So, I hope you've got something from this video. And if you have, well, hit that subscribe button and I'll create more. Until then though, have a great day.